Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad and this is SuperCoach Pro. Today's video we are reviewing the round 1 team going into the 2022 season. It's been a lot of changes. This side will stay unless there is some rookie movement or some last minute injuries. This is what I'm actually going to take into the side. And just before we get started, I'm going to be doing my preview videos generally on a Wednesday or a Thursday before the game, and then my team review for how my side went on the actual Sunday night or Monday, whenever sort of SuperCoach opens. That is when I will do my videos. I'll make sure they're sort of more of a regular schedule once the Wednesday, Thursday games actually peter out and it goes back to Friday to Sunday. Alright, so we'll go from the top. We're actually going to go a little bit backwards this video, so if you don't like it that way, I do apologise, but I just want to do something a little bit different. I'll touch on a few of the players and the reasons for why picking them, but I'll try to make it as quick as possible. Try not to go over that 15-20 minute mark. So we'll get stuck into it. Starting in the forward line, we've got Dunkley, Butters and Cogs. I think these guys are the most common that you'll see for good reason. Dunkley looks back to his best. Obviously, we know he dislocated his shoulder last year. Came back, didn't play the greatest, but he's had 6 months or whatever it's been to have that pre-season to get confidence in his shoulder. Only had the 3 tackles on the weekend, so maybe it's saying he isn't so confident right now. But I feel like he'll be the F1 for the year. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Butters for me, I think we'll even finish F2. He's got the role, he's got the midfield role, exactly what you want. He's not playing high half forward. It looks like even if he does, he'll be that link man that gets score involvements and can kick a few goals too. So great pick for mine. Canelio is a good one. He had 27 touches, about 10 marks on the weekend. I think he's a chance to be a keeper for mine. Terry, interesting one, sort of came out of nowhere for most teams. It's between Will Brodie and McGovern. McGovern's issue is his body has never been right. He's got the role, don't get me wrong. He scored 70 and 100 in both practice matches. So scoring's great, durability is an issue for him. And then Will Brodie's got the factor of Darcy Tucker, I think it is, and Nathan Fyfe to come back in that midfield. So is he best 22 week in and week out? Whereas Terry probably is with that young North Melbourne brigade. Someone's got to take the mantle off Goldstein. And even if CCJ does come back, as a Tiger supporter, I do know CCJ is actually better as a forward, not a ruck. So even if they do play all 3, I think they can. CCJ will go forward, and Goldstein and Terry will be that hit-out king. And surely they can play one down back, just sort of like Max Gawn does every now and then, or Nick Curvis does. So I think he stays in that side. I don't know if there's any North Melbourne supporters that can tell us what the job security is like for him, but I think it's all ready to go. Rochelle, I think he's obviously going to get game time, kick 3 goals in both bracket matches. Looks great. Not one I really want to field because I don't think he'll always score decently. Like if he doesn't kick a goal, what does he actually get you? Maybe 40 points. McGuinness for mine, you think he'd get game time. This could be that other Collingwood bloke. Carlton bloke who hurt his calf and came off, but he kicked 2 goals in that second quarter. He's lost my mind. But anyway, this is one I'm not sure who I'm going to run at F6 just yet until the rookies are named Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, depending which game you're looking for. Holland for mine is one I want to use as an early loophole, and if Hayes scores well on the Friday night, I will put Holland on field, take whichever rookie I put there, and leave that loophole and take Hayes' 70 or 80 if he does score that well, and if he's actually named. I'm just assuming his names because Ryder is touch and go. Dixon for mine, interchangeable with Hayes, so I just had to do it. I like the flexibility this year. I think you need a lot of DPP players from a COVID year. You just don't know what happens in this season because I know last year, end of the year, I had no way of moving my team around because it happened on a Sunday where Giants and Sydney were playing and I missed about 4 players on the field, so that hurts the overall ranking in the end. Darcy Grundy for mine, and you're probably wondering why Gawn, but I think it's the Jackson split that worries me a little bit. Gawn's got excellent games early on, so do they give Jackson more of the run to play the easy ruckman? It's just, you don't know. Darcy's got the highest ceiling, scores 190s, 160s against sides that don't really have a great ruckman. Not saying O'Brien's not a great ruckman, but you just never know. He gets points for breathing, sort of like Bontempelli does. Darcy scored 95 on the weekend and barely got out of first gear, so I just can't not start him. Yeah, he's injury prone. He has 4 injuries in pre-season. That's absolute red flag, but I love red flags, so pick me. That's what he says when he's got such a high ceiling anyway. Horne-Francis, Dacos and Ward. It's pretty standard midfield, I'd assume. Most teams have these boys. I think they're fieldable options too. Dacos potentially gets backline, DPP. And they're all solid options. McDonald, you'd think get game time too, just what he's done in the preseason alone. Miller, Neal, Rao. I think we'll start with Miller and Rao. They've got wits now, so they've got a decent ruckman to actually get the ball from instead of Burgess or whoever was giving them last year. Was absolute nothing, to be honest. And then you've got Neal, who hoping can replicate what he did a couple of years ago, or at least go 110, 115 average. It would be nice for his price point. I think he's an absolute steal. Speaking of steel, the man of steel himself, Captain Jack, tackle machine like the Beast took. They just get from contest to contest. Their work rates is unreal, and I think they'll be both rewarded more this year for their tackling. Sort of, they'll get a lot of holding the ball. So what is that? That's free kicks for. So I think they've got room to move price-wise, which is funny to say about guys that are almost 700k. And McRae for mine, yeah, look, there's a lot of mouths to feed at the doggies, but I think he's just so durable. He's so consistent. He's always a VC, which you can already see. I'm already playing in VC from Wednesday night. We took his captain there for the Gold Coast if he doesn't make 120. Now, Stephenson and Joyce, we all know Stephenson is a top 5 draft pick. In fact, it was about 3 years ago or something like that he was number 5. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that, I'm not a Sydney fan. So, Joyce is a different one that you might see in a few teams coming up. He had 17 touches in a half of footy for West Coast with a depleted side. I think he gets games. That's why I picked Dixon too. Look, if Bruce goes off the chain round 3, has a big price rise coming, then I might do something. But Bruce is no guaranteed to actually play round 2. Say, Briggs and Flynn dominate. Why would you bring in Bruce? That's one that I haven't considered so far. Let's move on to the back line. Crisp. Why have I picked him over Lloyd and everyone else? Well, there's a couple of things. Durability. The DPP, in case Dacos does get DPP, it'd be nice to have a nice swing there. I'm all about the dual position players this year, to be honest. He's got the role for it. He scores well as a mid, scores well as a defender. He's at a side that's going to probably heavily rely on Grundy, so meaning he's going to get it tapped straight down his throat when he does a 10-centre bounces, and even if he does get moved back, he can still play well. So I just love that about him. He's maxed out price-wise. He's probably not going to go too much more, so maybe I'm not getting any value out of that, but I think my team in general is pretty value. Short for me, I think he had about 32 touches, like 26 of them were kicks, just about, something like that. So we know he's got a high kick ratio. We've heard it all before that he averages 105 about Bashir Hooley. He'll probably do the same. Now you're thinking, all right, kick-outs, who takes them? Well, it's between him, Voston and Rioli that take kick-outs. So I think his floor this year won't be as bad as it was last year. I know he burnt a lot of us. I think he'll have a minimal 80 at least when he does have a bad game. They just look to feed him all the time. And if he's not the kick out from defence directly, he's the one they're chipped to in the back pocket, and then he'll run to the wing, kick it to Nang or Soldo. And yeah, look, Richmond have got a lot more tools this year, so his kicks might actually get a lot more efficient on them in terms of points. I'm trying to struggle for words there, but anyway, Whitfield's the next man. I think you got to pick. Price wise, the DPP is fantastic too. Look, he could go 110. Durability does suck, so I do expect to place a rookie for him for 1 week every now and then. But I'm willing to ride that train for sure. Georgie Hewitt is another one. Attending centre bounces now. He's not a tagger like he was at the Swans. He Might get a little bit less centre bounces, obviously, when Walshy comes back on the side, but I can see him averaging anywhere between 95 and 105, and for his price tag, that's brilliant. That's what you want. It's between him and Sis, but I can't justify spending 50k more on Sis, who's coming off an ACL, who's an intercept defender who could play down a lockdown role, whereas, you always love picking midfielders in the back line and forward line, etc. Hinge for mine, we know he hurt his shoulder last year. But that was last year. George was saying this year, though, he had hurt his shoulder in the practice match, sort of holding it. So that concerns me. Who do I go with at 20k? Hopefully Sin, but Sin worries me. If he does get named, is he going to be a sub? So I'm really iffy about my D5 here, what I do with it. Maybe a rookie that we're not expecting comes through. Maybe Boyd from Carlton comes through or something like that. But Carton has to be played. Obviously, we know what he did at St Kilda, but they had the concussion, but now he's playing down back. I think he had about 7 or 8 marks on the weekend, so he looks fantastic. He's the guy I'd rather field, and Hinges on the wing, so he's got a good role too, I must say. Gibkiss, he's going to play probably more of a lockdown role, freeing up Grimes as the intercept this year and Boston to intercept. He'll get games at Richmond. I feel like he'll play 15 games this year at least. They might rest him 1 or 2 games here and there, so do be wary of that. So try to get off this pick as soon as you can. Same with DeConning. Don't expect massive scores from either of these guys, but that is the side going into round 1. The thought behind it is pretty simple. I wanted to go pretty deep in the back line, but still have enough room to not price myself out of a couple forward primos. That's why I've only gone 4 deep. 5 deep I think is too much in any line. So I've gone 3 primos plus 1, and then I've done the same here, 4 primos plus 1 mid-pricer, and then here I've gone 2 primos plus $1 million mid-prices. But I think the structure looks good. There's not too many odd prices, apart from, like I said, Hewitt and Rao. The Rucks I don't want to muck around in this year. I've thought of the idea of Marshall, Witts, Timmy English, but it just looks so ugly, and then you've got to work your way how to trade them out of it. It's just set and forget for me, whether it be Darcy and Gawn, Grundy and Gawn, whatever you want to do. I think those are the way to go this year. I'm not going to mess around with it. And the little loophole this year, I know someone was doing it with DR, perhaps, was having Collins there, so, not a bad move to do a loophole that is a player that's going to play early, but not round 1. You could use Bruce for that idea because he might be a great cash cow, but I'd rather trade into Bruce round 3 after I've seen 2 games from him and he's not injured. So that's all my thoughts about how my team's structured. But yeah, look, if you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, feel free to put them in the comments below. I'll definitely be answering them. If there's anything you reckon I should change on my side, let me know. I'm always down to listen to that and take your opinions on board too. So that's it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you do, leave a like and sub. I never really shout that out, but yeah. Anyway, enjoy your night, and I'll catch you on the next one, perhaps Tuesday.